Hey, welcome to Kate Crafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you my first ever Hello Bluebird card, and how I wasn't happy with it. But I remade it. So let's get started. To start things off, I am going to do a little bit of Copic coloring. Now, my E17 marker is drying out and I need to replace it. Now, I thought about getting the re-inker for it, but I think at this point I just need to buy a new one because I'm finding that some of the ones that I had actually bought from Michael's have dried out, and from what I understand, this is a common problem with some Copics and how their caps fit on them. Now, I work in the plastic industry and kind of had a small idea of how plastic works, and depending on how it was how it was molded, I should say, if it wasn't properly molded with the right temperatures, with the right shrinkage and expansion and blah 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 blah, then you might not get a proper tight fit, which will probably have your markers dry out. And this is just my theory. I mean, I could totally be wrong, so take with what I said about that with a grain of salt, but it's not going to stop me from buying Copics. I really, really enjoy this medium. I mean, I would really like to try Ohuhus or Olos or other alcohol markers like Spectrum to Noir, but I'm afraid, I'm very afraid, that if I actually do get a handful of said markers that I'm going to want more of them, and quite frankly, my Copic collection is large. I mean, not in comparison to a lot of people, but for me, it takes up a lot of real estate on my craft desk. So for me to incorporate another company's markers, I don't know that I could mix them. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't. You know, your browns with your browns, your blues with your blues, you know, your pinks with your pinks, but just mixing them together, I don't know, maybe that just brings me some sort of secret anxiety. What about you? Do you keep your alcohol markers or pencil crayons or anything of that nature separate in their own little habitats, or do you happen to, you know, mix them all in together, all willy-nilly, because, well, that's the same kind of color that is, and that's the same kind of stencil that is. I haven't gotten there yet. The most of my collection is Lawn Fawn and Copics and Distress Oxides. So I try to keep those guys a little bit separated in their own little pedestal, so that's why I stick to Copics regardless of the fact that some of them do dry out. So, and as I mentioned in the beginning, this is my first ever Hello Bluebird card. Well, technically it's my second, because the first one I did, I really wanted to do something with the vertical banner die and one of the critters from the Married Greeters, and I wanted to do the deer. The deer is just, it's so cute. I love the deer. And with the first one, it was kind of like I tried to do a clean and simple card. I really did. I really tried, you guys. But for some reason, I just can't wrap my brain around doing something so simple. Like clean and simple. How hard can that be? Apparently it could be pretty hard for me, because it's just, it's like I put stuff down and it just doesn't look right, or it's just not enough. And, you know, I really admire those who can do clean and simple. Like, I have my one friend, Lynn, who does beautiful clean and simple cards, and, you know, some of them she just uses like an embossing folder and an image, and she's done, and it's like, I can't even think about that. So that was my first take on the clean and simple, and then I just said, you know what, we're going with this. So this is the Nitpicky paper from Lawn Fawn. This is part of a 6x6 paper pack that I got But no, this isn't the 6x6. This is the 12x12 cut down to 6x6. I believe I got this in an STC, so Scrapbook and Cards Today's sampler pack that I have a subscription to. So all I did was figured out where I wanted that to be cut, to kind of have it center, and I took that off camera and die cut all that. And I also did the little rod thingy that comes with it. So I'm going to take this off, and you can see the little bit that I cut out. Now, it's kind of wasteful to do it this way and not get it right up to the corner, but I kind of wanted a specific part of the pattern itself, so I'm sure I could find a way to use the other bits. Now, to kind of give this a little bit more interest, I'm going in with some Distress Oxide and Gathered Twig, and I'm just using this scrap of Bristol Smooth cardstock. Mind me, I'm going to get a little piece of tape so I don't get my fingers all over it, but I wanted a specific color, so I thought I would just take this scrap piece of Bristol Smooth, cut it out, and just add a little bit of oxide ink to give it the color that I was looking for. So that's what I'm doing here. And once I'm done with that, I'll set that off to the side to dry, and I'm going to take what I have left on my table, and I'm just going to go around the edges very lightly, just to kind of give the paper a little bit more dimension. Now, I wasn't exactly sure if this would have been the more appropriate color to go with, because this has got like a bit of yellow to it, and the brown on the paper is a little bit softer than this yellow. I don't know what the undertone to that brown is, but it was the closest thing I had. You know, I thought about using like a darker one, but I wanted to keep this light because the paper that I'll be using for the background is going to be darker. Now, I couldn't exactly see those lines, so I just took out my We Are Memory Keepers paper trimmer and scoreboard, and I'm using the brand new Teflon folder that Mr. Crafts got me for Christmas. More about that in a future video. So, all I'm doing here is I'm just folding down the edges because they had score lines. There's actually 2 score lines, but I'm going to use the one closest to the banner. And I'm going to line that up as best that I can using my grid mat. And I'm going to add some of this Lawn Fawn glue to the one side just to make sure that I got both sides. Not a whole lot because I don't want it seeping out the edges. So once I've got that lined up how I like, I'm going to use my grid mat and kind of make a mess of everything. So reverse tweezers, those things are key. So I'm going to line that up. Hold that down. I'm pressing down the middle and then the outer edges just to kind of make sure I don't move that around too much. And then I'm going to put a block on it. And once I've let that dry a bit, I'll come back and I'll pull that back out. And you can see here. Now, I wasn't sure exactly if I wanted to do him with some foam tape on the back side of him or the banner, or I didn't want to make the same mistake as I made the last card. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to grab this Wing of Stella, I think it's like a black gold or something like that. And I'm just going to go around the little ends here of the rod that's going to hold up the banner. Now, I probably could have just done this in the black glaze pen, but I mean, I had an idea of what I was wanting to do because I wanted to recreate the card that I just was not happy with. And I probably could have been better off using the Sakura black glaze pen as opposed to the Wing of Stella, but it is what it is. It still turned out how I wanted it to, and I thought this looked a lot better than the other card that I did. So once I've figured out what I want to do, I'm going to use this thin foam tape, and I'm going to go over the back side of the banner, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So I'll flip that over and kind of measure out where I want, and through the magic of editing, you can see all the wonderful little bits of foam tape that I have taped to the back of that. So I'll put this there just to make sure that I don't get stuck to anything. And while I figure out whether or not I want foam tape, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to glue them straight down, but first, no, I'm not going to glue them down. Now, what I did when I first got these stamp sets, I didn't know what I wanted to make, so when I don't know what I want to make, I need to get a feel for the stamps. So sometimes what I'll do is I will just stamp out a bunch of images and I will cut them out. Now, I don't do this without the help of usually talking on the phone or video chatting a friend that I haven't talked to in a while, or, you know, generally on the weekends is when I get a chance to talk on the phone because I'm always busy during the week, and the weekends are really the only time that I have for me to do anything fun other than work and go to the gym and make lunches and sleep at some point. So that's what I did with this stamp set. I had stamped out a whole bunch of the little bits and bobs as well as the critters, and I tucked them into little cellophane bags that I'd got. And I think those are the cellophane bags from the High Supply giveaway that I got, because I put those all in little Tic Tac containers into a neat little box that they all fit snugly in, and it's really pretty to look at because they're all shimmery and shiny. So that's what I did. Waste not, want not. And all I did here was I took one of the little envelopes from the stamp set that I'd stamped out, colored it in the E47 marker, and I'm putting a little bit of glue on the back side of the hands. Now, when you use the die to cut out the critters from this stamp set, they cut out the hands, so you get to put stuff in their hands, which I think is really cute, because I don't think I have anything quite like that. So, once I've put a little bit of the tape runner down, I want to make sure this sticks right away, but also add some glue, so that way over time it'll hold a lot longer with the white PVA glue. So once I'm done that, I am going to take my critter and I'm going to line him up the best that I possibly can. So I'm going to eyeball this as best as I can, and then I'll smoosh them around just a smidge and then pat them all down. So once I've done that, I will come in with that Sakura glaze pen and I will go over his little eyeballs to give them a little bit more dimension. I like this little added detail because it gives a little shine to the eyes and to the little nose, and this is where I try to do the glaze over top of the Wink of Stella, but it wasn't doing anything. I guess it was just too black and you don't really see it that much, and I don't know, I was messing around with it a little bit, and then I thought, you know what, maybe I shouldn't mess around with it because you're likely to mess it up. And this paper right here is from a, what do you call it? The Scrapbook and Cards Today sampler pack that I got one of the months before. I think mine is up in April, so I don't know, I might renew it. I think it's neat because you get like a sample pack of paper, and lately you've been getting dies, and every once in a while you'll get like a stamp set or a stencil or something else really fun, and this paper was in one of the packs. I can't remember which month it was, and I can't remember the name of the paper, but I thought this would look really good as kind of like a masculine card. And I've been really digging the cards that don't say anything on the front, because I almost actually used this today at the time of this recording, but I opted to grab a different card for a person for their birthday, and I don't know, making simple cards, I could probably just leave a little bit of space somewhere to put a sentiment if I need to, or if I'm making a simple card like this, just leave it off altogether. But that's what I ended up doing with this. So I didn't end up putting any sentiment on it. If I need to, I could also stamp something on the inside, because generally I don't like to commit to inside stamping unless I know if the card is for somebody specific. So once I've added a little bit of glue to the back side of the foam tape, I am going to use my mat and try to line this up as best as I can. And once I've got that done, I am going to clean up my mess, and I'm going to bust out some high supply. As you can see, there's those little Tic Tac containers that I got those for Christmas, which I was quite pleased about. It was a lot of fun rearranging all the little Tic Tac containers to have a rainbow effect of sequin mixes. And oops, I put a little too much glue there. Try to take some of that off. Now the one thing I will say is when you're using like clear gems like this, using white glue, you really gotta wait for the glue to dry to take a picture, otherwise you get the white back. So there's my finished card. I definitely like how this one turned out way better. So if you've enjoyed today's content, or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.